And we start this edition at 10 a.m. with Prime Minister's historic visit to Athens. Remember, just a short while ago, the Prime Minister arrived in Athens for talks with the European countries' top leadership to strengthen the bilateral ties. Important to note here that it is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in 40 years' time. So significant in many ways. Bilateral talks that would be taking place of Prime Minister Modi, not just with the Prime Minister, but with the President as well. Ways to deepen relationship would also happen. Not just that, discussion regarding cooperation in defense, trade and investment is also expected in the one-day official visit of Prime Minister to Greece. So, a packed schedule for the Prime Minister as the Prime Minister will be holding bilateral talks with the top leadership. Not just that, the Prime Minister will also be engaging with the business leaders. Following that, an interaction with the Indian community would also happen in Athens. As we speak, there you see the Indian community that is eagerly awaiting to catch a glimpse and interact with the Prime Minister. A grand welcome that's expected, a ceremonial welcome, so as to say, upon his arrival in Athens. He's already arrived, but we are expecting that ceremonial reception to take place in just some time from now. So after the BRICS Summit, the Prime Minister is now in Athens. Let's listen into the voices as the people anticipate Prime Minister's visit, and these are the first visuals also coming in right now. There you see a ceremonial reception that's being given to the Prime Minister, being accorded to the Prime Minister. Top leadership present as Prime Minister touched down in Athens as we speak. So there you see after the BRICS Summit, it's the one-day official visit to Greece, which has begun. The Prime Minister landed just a few minutes ago, and these are the first visuals coming in. The grand welcome that is taking place, it's a ceremonial reception. There you see the top leadership present to receive the Prime Minister. A ceremonial reception being accorded to the Indian Prime Minister. First visit in 40 years by any Indian Prime Minister. So maritime trade discussion, defense cooperation would be taken up in this meet with the Greece President and the Prime Minister. He would also be engaging with the business leaders. Let's go across to Abhishek Kapoor, our Senior Executive Editor, joining us. Abhishek, a lot of discussion is expected, particularly in maritime trade and defense cooperation between the two countries.
Well, that's because Greece is a maritime economy. It's an island nation straddling the Mediterranean, and remember, ancient civilization. But interesting that for 40 years, nobody from India at the level of Prime Minister traveled to this country, and now Prime Minister going there. After 40 years, an Indian Prime Minister visiting, so obviously the Greeks would be excited, and that's getting visible in the kind of comments that are coming in. Samiksha, and the Mediterranean holds strategic importance, and for Greece, which is a member state of NATO and also of the European Union. This gives an idea of why we should have engaged more, and why we are engaging now with Greece, and given the fact that its maritime economy also is a gateway to the larger European Union. It provides an important entry port for India to be engaging with, and I believe that over the next 12 hours that the Prime Minister spends in Greece engaging with its leadership, having a bilateral dialogue, I'm sure we would be looking at reinforcing our commitment in the region, and there is, of course, a commonality of interests insofar as both are democracies. It's a small nation, but a significant geography, and the Prime Minister choosing to have a stopover in Greece. Remember, it's not like midway between South Africa and New Delhi. It's like you're taking a detour, which actually shows the importance being attached. Prime Minister's schedule is chock-a-block with the preparations for the G20 summit, and in between, he has decided to spend a day in Greece and strengthen our bilateral partnership. So that gives you an idea of what's really on the table. And till now, we have had political consultation level dialogue between the respective foreign ministries. And the last one was, in fact, in the month of June itself. And there it was decided that let's upgrade the relationship. So what we are seeing is that Prime Minister, by visiting Greece, is essentially putting in that much more political capital and heft and indicating to all the departments, ministries across the board that they should be engaging even more strongly with Greece, be it on defense cooperation, on culture, or maritime transport, on security, and everything else.
Also, if you can once again touch on, how Greece is a preferred tourist location, tourist hub also for several Indians, and how it serves as a major source of revenue when it comes to Indians who prefer Greece as their tourist hub across the globe.
Greece straddles the Mediterranean space, and that obviously is an interesting tourist geography. But Samiksha, remember, a Prime Minister visiting Greece after a gap of an Indian Prime Minister visiting Greece after a gap of 40 years. And in the case of Prime Minister, he has done that with at least 24 odd nations where, for 40 years, 30 years, even 50 years, sometimes even and not even once since establishment of diplomatic relationship like it happened in the case of Israel. Prime Minister happens to be the first Indian leader to be visiting. So I think that's going to be important. Prime Minister Mitsotakis of Greece has literally thrown the red carpet because India is the fifth largest economy now, and the Greeks would also be looking at a tremendous push for their own economic objectives. There is an excellent bilateral relationship existing, and there have been multiple formats of bilateral dialogue, but mostly at the bureaucratic level. And this is the first time that at this level we are pushing in. And the bilateral trade, for example, has seen a tremendous increase over the last few years, but still it is at a paltry about $2.5 billion. So that's really nothing. So if you're looking $2.5 billion is about 15,000, 20,000 crore rupees bracket. And I think the two leaders, when they sit across for the bilateral dialogue, they would be looking at giving a push to this and whatever can be exchanged between India and Greece by way of products and services. Apart from that, of course, there has been an element of cooperation when it comes to military level engagement. For example, those defense exercises, joint defense exercises, the Hellenic Air Force had come to the Aero India show in this earlier edition in June or month of May, I believe, and they had participated. But I think what India would be looking at is a little diplomatic and defense engagement, as also, of course, the window that Greece provides as an entry port for the larger European Union economy.
Yes. Abhishek, thank you for the moment. Let's also listen in to a reaction that's come in from the Greece ambassador to India on Prime Minister's visit. Let's listen in on what is exactly on the agenda on Prime Minister's one-day official visit to the country.
Very happy to welcome Prime Minister Modi in our country. You know, even just the visit, it would be something very important, given that it is the first visit of an Indian Prime Minister after 40 years. But it's not only that, it's not just that. There is a lot more in this visit, because by this visit and the agreements that we will go to sign, we will upgrade our long friendship, very long friendship, to an even higher standard, and we are very happy for that. We are advancing our cooperation on all important fields. That is in security, in culture, in economy and trade, in technological exchange and cooperation. So this is a very comprehensive cooperation partnership that includes, I think, all the important fields.
From Athens International Airport in Greece, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has just arrived here from Johannesburg after attending the 15th BRICS Summit. A packed day of engagements lie ahead in Athens. He will little later lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Thereafter, he will meet the President of Greece and then hold talks with the Prime Minister of Greece. He will also meet with business leaders from both sides. Before departing, he will have an interaction with the community who are all excited to receive him after the success of the Chandrayaan mission. All in all, a very productive day ahead.
So it's a one-day official visit of the Prime Minister to Greece, the first by any Prime Minister in 40 years. Of course, the visuals also that have been coming in of the ceremonial reception that the Prime Minister received. Meanwhile, the Indian community has been eagerly anticipating Prime Minister's arrival and the interaction with the Prime Minister of India.
सारे अपने तहे दिल तो करने हाँ जी करेंगे जी भंगड़े पा के करेंगे सारे स्वागत स्पेशल करेंगे उनका सब हाँ जी सब भंगड़ा पाएंगे जी हाँ जी बढ़िया होगा सब तो बढ़िया होगा जी हाँ जी बोले सोनियाल श्री अकाल।
नहीं, सच बताऊं तो मैं मोदी जी से बहुत ही ज्यादा इंस्पायर हूं, क्योंकि वो देश के बहुत ही बढ़िया नेता हैं। एज ए लीडर वो बहुत ही एक अच्छा व्यक्तित्व रखते हैं।
तो जी वेलकम आप करने जाएंगे?
बिल्कुल जी।
क्या तैयारी क्या है मन में आपको मोदी जी आने?
सर बहुत ही प्राउड मोमेंट है हम सब इंडियंस के लिए, क्योंकि हमारी पहचान हम भारत के लोग।
तो आपको क्या लगता है कि अगर मोदी जी आएंगे तो और यहाँ पे ग्रीस में जितने इंडियंस रह रहे हैं उनका बोलबाला बढ़ेगा, उनके लिए चीजें और आसान होगी?
क्यों नहीं सर, इससे पहले ही बहुत सारी चीजें जो है वो हमारी भारतीय कम्युनिटी के लिए आसान हो चुकी हैं। हमें इमिग्रेशन में ज्यादा समस्या नहीं होती, हमारे पासपोर्ट की रैंकिंग वर्ल्ड वाइड बढ़ रही है, हम ग्लोबली ट्रिलियन बिलियन का व्यापार कर रहे हैं, और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय विदेश नीति के बारे में बात की जाए तो बहुत ही बढ़िया काम जो है वो मोदी जी के द्वारा जो है वो किया जा रहा है। और रही बात ग्रीस की, तो ग्रीस में जो है वो यही है कि अच्छा कार्य होगा। मोदी जी अच्छे जो भी वो संकल्प लेके आए हैं वो पूरा करेंगे, हमें उन पे पूरा विश्वास है जी।
अब मोदी जी आ रहे हैं सर, ये हमारी गुड लक है, क्योंकि हमारा स्टेटस जो इंडिया का है वो बहुत अच्छा है यहाँ पे ग्रीस में। तो अब प्रधानमंत्री जी आ रहे हैं तो बहुत सारे अच्छे व्यापार के लिए और अच्छे रास्ते खुल रहे हैं सर, ये हमारे लिए बहुत प्राउड की बात है। और स्पेशली मैं थैंक्स करना चाहती हूँ इंडियन एम्बेसी का, जिनकी एफर्ट्स की वजह से ये सारा कुछ पॉसिबल हो रहा है, और पूरी इंडियन कम्युनिटी की ओर से मैं मोदी जी का वेलकम करती हूँ।
अभी 1 बिलियन के अंदर यूरो का बिजनेस हो रहा है, बट पोटेंशियल बहुत ज्यादा है हर सेक्टर में, केमिकल में, एजुकेशन में, टूरिज्म में, फार्मास्यूटिकल में, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में। इंडियन कंपनी यहाँ पे लिमिटेड कंपनियां एक्टिव हैं, बट यहाँ से इंडिया काफी काम हो सकता है, इंडियन कंपनी यहाँ काफी काम कर सकती हैं, एंड ग्रीस कैन बी लॉन्चिंग पैड बिटवीन इंडिया एंड यूरोप। तो मैं काफी एक्साइटेड हूँ और हम इसका प्रमोट कर रहे हैं कि मोदी जी के आने से बिजनेस जितना है उससे 10 टाइम और बढ़ जाए। तो ये हमारी विश है, हम उसके लिए प्रयास करते रहेंगे।